Leva has actually picked a movie for us to review this week. That movie is none other than Grease 2.
Can we
Grease
talk
2.
about 1982? I did not realize that movie was that old.
When you say that old, please explain, because as I said before, like
I
was
thought
almost.
it came out like in maybe 86, closer to 90. Because I remember watching this really young, but I didn't realize it was, I don't know. I thought maybe it was a little bit more newer when I saw it. So I'm having a slight existential crisis because I didn't realize that I've been alive for this long.
Well, when you said it like that,
Just-
I think me and Ruckus were like,
I was like, if you think you're having an existential crisis because you've been alive that long when you thought it was like in 89,
yeah,
you should see how we feel now. I was in second grade when this movie came out. So
you weren't in second grade, were you?
I was in second grade. And I remember school starting summer of 82, and I was going into second grade, and I can remember one of the kids in class, I gotta go back and back to school again.
I loved this movie as a kid. So Grease 2, directed by Patricia Birch, came out June 11th, 1982. Just a couple of fun facts about this movie before we get into it, right? Did you know that Andy Gibb was initially to play the male lead in this movie? Were you aware of that?
No, I was not.
Yes. You know who else was initially actually signed to be in the movie was Cher as well. And she got frustrated, right? So she pulled out because the script wasn't complete. And then Jennifer Beals was actually signed as well to play Sharon Cooper, but dropped out to do the movie Flashdance. So it was kind of neat. She could have been in this one, or talk about making the right call there, right? And the really cool thing about Grease is this was supposed to be a franchise of 4 films and a TV show. Obviously, it flopped in the theater. So look, we're not doing it anymore. And they took the unused script of the third movie and they actually made this movie. The unused script for this movie is actually a movie right now. Maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but it's called High School Musical. That was actually the script for the third Grease movie.
Really?
Yes,
What?
isn't that cool?
I had no idea.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, I am a huge Kim Carnes fan. I don't know if you remember her. She was a singer from the 80s, Betty Davis Eyes. Right?
Betty Davis.
Yes. She was actually offered the role of Stephanie Zanone and declined it. So some fun facts about Grease 2.
No way.
Wow.
First of all, I can't see anybody else in that role other than Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yep.
And if it was, who was it? What was her name again?
Kim Carnes.
If it was Kim Carnes, I would not have been happy as a young boy.
But you might have not. Well, no, Kim Carnes was a hot pop star back then. Do you know who else was signed to play it?
Who?
Debbie Harris.
Debbie Harris, is that Blondie?
Yes. Thank you, Leva.
Yay!
Hey, yes. Blondie was offered the role and turned it down because she felt she was too old to play a high school person.
High school, yeah.
Yep.
I get that.
So interesting fact. So as we go into Grease 2, we'll start with you, Leva. What are your take us back to what your thoughts were on this movie and why you chose it?
I love this movie. It is cheesy and fun and pretty much represents everything that is me. I loved it. You know what? It was really hard to find. I remember watching it when I was really young. I used to get it from like the video rental store, and get it on VHS and watch it. But then like as I got older and like everything was DVD, it became impossible to find for years and years and years. It wasn't until I was working at Hershey Park and I ran into another singer dancer there that was obsessed with Grease 2 and Teen Witch, which we can talk about that another day. And he owned both. And I was like, how do you own both? I don't know if it was he still had the VHS. I can't remember exactly how he had it, but he had both. So we ended up having a big movie night where we watched both, and it was just everything I remembered from it and even more. And then a few years later, like in FYE, I finally found it on DVD to buy and to own and to cherish forever. So yeah, it was. I feel like there was a good period in my life where I could not get my hands on this movie and couldn't see it anyway. So I remember loving it as a kid. But it was like, you had Grease, and it was like this iconic thing. But then you had Grease 2, which was a little bit more goofier and sillier, and the songs were way more like at times trashier. And it was like, it's so ridiculous. Like, and I remember Maxwell Caulfield was so adorable, and I wanted to be Michelle Pfeiffer, but I've always wanted to be Michelle Pfeiffer. So that kind of also makes sense. It kind of goes with who I am, aka I always wanted to be Catwoman. So, but I digress. It hit on all the little fun things. If you know anything about Teen Witch, it's a really cheesy 80s movie about a girl who gets witch powers and just wants to be popular and that type of thing. And it's just like, it's that silly, cheesy musical thing. Like, I don't know. They all fit in that little box of whatever. And it just, yes, it's fun. It's silly. You forget all about your problems because it's just ridiculous and over the top at times and absurd. And I love every second of it.
What is your favorite part in the movie?
Oh my God. All of it. Well, okay. So, like, I think one of the most iconic parts of the movie is Cool Rider. Like,
yes.
I remember I was in Ohio somewhere. I was visiting my boyfriend at the time. Years ago. But anyway, and we were at this bar and had like a weird karaoke bar, but it was more like a performance for like theater kids. So one guy got up there and rocked out Cool Rider, and they had the video in the background, so you know what he was doing. But he had like the ladder, and he got up there, and he was like doing the thing. It was so good. It's like it resonates with us theater kids, 100%. Cool Rider is super epic, but I mean, like, let's do it for a country.
That was going to be my second one.
Favorite. That's my favorite.
Like, we're going to score tonight. There's so many perfect songs that are in this. Every time I go to a bowling alley, I always start dancing with the ball and pretending like, you know how hard it is to actually dance with the bowling ball like that? Because those are not real bowling balls they dance with.
I was going to say they had to be props because ain't nobody swinging those things
gimmick
while they're doing that.
Gimmick balls.
You have to find like the kids' balls so you can go and you try to do like the, pirouette and then up, down, over, woo. Yeah, it's hard.
Fun fact, Michelle Pfeiffer was, they did the stunts when she got on the bike and he was doing the wheelies. Michelle Pfeiffer was actually the girl on the bike. She did her own stunt for that. And of course it wasn't Max Caulfield riding, and
of course not.
This movie, it was supposed to be his launching, right? It actually launched Michelle Pfeiffer. It helped her, but it killed his career for years. Until he did some stuff here and there, but he came out with a movie that is also a cult classic, which is Empire Records.
Empire Records.
Yes.
Sexy Rexy, right? So, which, by the way,
Rex Manning Day. I celebrate Rex Manning Day every year.
Whenever we have a big visitor coming, we call it Rex Manning Day because we got to do everything's got to get ready and be perfect. I love Rex Manning Day. So, you're right about that. The movie wasn't very celebrated. It actually flopped and it killed the whole franchise. But looking back at it, I loved this as a kid as well. I learned about things probably at a very young age because let's do it for a country. And I remember, like, what are they doing for the country? What are they doing? I need to know what they're doing.
Reproduction. Yes. We're singing that as kids in the living room, not having any idea what the hell they're talking about. My mom walks in. She's like, stop singing that song. I was like, why? If we're talking about reproduction, she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Just shut up.
Shut your hole. And Shooter McGavin was in it, right? A young Shooter McGavin. So
he was, yes.
Christopher McDonald, yeah. Shooter McGavin was in it.
Yeah, he was one of the boys.
Yeah.
The T-Birds.
I was a big fan of this movie as well. It was on HBO a lot when I was a kid as well. It was like looped on the HBO.
All
summer long.
So you get to watch that. Watching it.
It's so fun. It's one of those you don't need to take it too seriously. Then that's why it's like it's a light. They're having a bad day, and you're like, oh man, and I gotta do this, and I had bad traffic, and I got bills to pay. But you just pop it on, and you just have like some just lighthearted, fun moments just for a little bit. And it's silly, it's fun, it makes you laugh, you forget where you are, you forget about reality just for a little bit.
I think there's an endearing quality about it you know, because we see it as a fantastic movie, but we can understand why people will look at it as a terrible movie. You know
Well,
what
it's
I mean?
so bad it's good. That's what I
Yes.
love it. It's like Teen Witch. It's not a good movie, but I love it.
That rap in Teen Witch was phenomenal. I don't know if you've
It's
seen
one
it.
of the
It-
well,
it-
we have
we'll
to
have
have
to
a
send
whole
it to
nother
you, Russ.
episode
Yeah,
about Teen
absolutely,
Witch. 'Cause,
absolutely.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite scenes of all time, by the way.
So one of the cool things I loved about this movie, they also flipped, right? So in the first one, that guy was the rebel, the badass, right? And the girl was the goody two shoes, and they kind of flipped it around. I thought that was
I
a neat
loved it.
take on it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love that part. Because I'm like,
And-
yeah.
And,
The girls
and
don't always have to be good. She's gonna be a little bit like
she can be a little spunk to her, right?
yeah, and that's what I loved about Michelle Pfeiffer. And I can't imagine anyone else playing that role. I'm sure other people could, but I mean, she's just perfect for it. You know what I mean?
She was the type of person to instill the long lifetime crush. Like, I remember Michelle Pfeiffer back then. And that's how I always, it doesn't matter how many roles she does, even the Catwoman and everything like that. I will always remember Michelle Pfeiffer in Grease 2.
Grease 2. It was her first leading role. And she'd done, I think, like American Graffiti and a couple other little small parts and stuff like that. Cause she kind of had a scene stealer in American Graffiti. But yeah, this was her first one that kind of really stood out. And it's great that her career, even in the movie flops, her career took off. Right. And she was able to, Michelle Pfeiffer, even today, is still badass, right? Even in the Marvel
my God.
movies.
Yeah, she's
Iconic.
I mean, when you watch the last Ant-Man, she was the one that she had the shit on lockdown. She lived in the quantum universe for so long. She could navigate that shit. She was like, y'all follow me. I got the connections. I know what we got to do. I really don't want to have to do this, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do this right. So
That's right.
buckle up, bitches. And she did.
I hold it in high regard. Hey!
You got to run in. I love it.
And
Oh,
then the disc even has like their picture on it.
oh, nice.
They were dreamy. I thought he looked like the British bulldog back then.
Leva, what are your final thoughts on this movie?
It's fun. All the side characters, like not side characters, the supporting characters, I thought they really brought this movie to life. They were silly. It's fun. Everyone had their thing. I love the main characters. I love the supporting characters. I love that we actually had, what's her name, the girl from the first movie come back because she
Didi.
failed at. Yes, Didi.
Didi.
So yeah, she had failed. So there was a little bit of connection with the first one, but yeah, and I was like one of them a cousin. Oh yeah, Maxwell Caulfield's character. He was cousins to.
He was
Sandra
Sandy's
Dee.
cousin. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So I love that it was connected, but it was his own thing, and it didn't rely too heavy on being its own thing. So.
I thought Adrian Zmed was hysterical as the new leader of the T-Birds.
Yes.
Oh my god, he was
The
so
little guy.
good. Like again, everyone had their like little things that they did so well, and there's things they did that they could not get away with today. So
Oh, for sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
like the whole teacher thing, which I mean, in the 80s we all laughed. It was like, oh, that's awesome.
Miss Mason.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
But-
now it's a felony.
yeah, but the day. That was funny.
Miss Mason was hot. God bless. So